Most people grow up believing their credit score is a measure of responsibility, a number that tells the world who you are: disciplined or careless, trustworthy or risky, someone who deserves opportunity or someone who doesn't. But what if that number was never designed for you in the first place? What if your credit score wasn't built to help you climb, but to keep you predictable, trackable, and permanently profitable to the people lending you money? Imagine this. It's late. The house is quiet. The only light is the blue glow from your phone as you lie in bed, thumb scrolling through your banking app. You're not doing anything serious, just checking, the way you always do when anxiety doesn't let you sleep. You tap open your credit score, expecting to see the same number as last month. Instead, it's dropped. Not by much, maybe 23 points, but enough to make your stomach tighten. Beneath the number are the usual cryptic reasons. Too many inquiries. Recent account opened. Credit utilization increased. None of it comes with a clear explanation. No one tells you which decision was wrong or how to fix it. It's like getting graded on a test you never knew you were taking, in a subject nobody ever taught in school. You close your eyes, trying to rewind the last few months. You paid all your bills. You didn't miss anything. You tried to be careful. So why does it feel like the system is quietly marking you down no matter what you do? Before we go any further, remember this. This is educational storytelling, not legal or financial advice. Everyone's situation is different. Laws, options, and protections vary by state. If you're facing serious credit issues, talk to a qualified professional. What you're about to hear is not a personalized plan. It's the story of a system, and the lie at the center of it. Let's go back to the beginning. Credit scores were not created to help you. They were created to help banks scale. Decades ago, lending was personal. The bank manager knew your name, your family, your job. Decisions were based on relationships, reputation, and local knowledge. That system had plenty of problems: discrimination, favoritism, and abuse. But it was at least human. Then lending became big business. Corporations needed a way to move millions of dollars at a time without ever meeting the people they were lending to. So they did what corporations always do when humans get in the way of growth. They replaced faces with numbers. A credit score is a risk tool, a way for lenders to calculate how much money they can make off of you over time. It doesn't measure your character. It doesn't measure your intelligence. It doesn't care how hard you work, how many people you support, or what you've survived. It measures one thing: how predictably you will behave as a debtor. The more predictable you are, the more money they can safely expect to earn from you. That's it. That's the whole system. Think about how bizarre this is. You could have no debt, no late payments, no collections, and still have a bad score. You could save cash, avoid credit cards, and never borrow, and the system will punish you for being invisible. You could work 2 jobs and pay your bills on time for 5 years, but if you don't have enough active accounts, your score might still be low. Meanwhile, someone else could be balanced on the edge of disaster: car loan, student loans, 3 credit cards, all carrying balances, paycheck to paycheck. But as long as they keep feeding the system with regular payments and interest, their score can look amazing. Let's put faces to this. Meet Lisa. She's 39. She hates debt. She watched her parents drown in it, so she promised herself she'd never get trapped like that. She uses a debit card for everything. She saves a little every month. She has 0 credit cards, 0 auto loans, no personal debt. When she applies to rent a better apartment across town, the landlord pulls her credit. "Your score is 615, he says. "I'm afraid that's a bit low. We usually approve people with 680 and above." Lisa stares at him. Low? How can it be low? She doesn't owe anyone anything. But the system doesn't see responsibility. It sees a lack of data, no revolving credit, no history of borrowing. To the algorithm, she's not reliable. She's just unknown. And in a system built on risk models, unknown is bad. Now meet David. He's 35. He has 3 credit cards, all carrying balances. He has a car loan and still owes money on his last phone. He pays the minimums on time every month. He never pays ahead. He is always one emergency away from real trouble. His credit score? 762. Excellent. Why? Because he's a perfect product. He's active. He's engaged. He pays interest. He's never so far gone that he stops paying, but never so comfortable that he escapes. To the system, he's not a risk. He's a revenue stream. Your credit score doesn't reward you for being responsible. It rewards you for being profitable. Here's where the lie comes in. You were told your score is a reflection of your moral worth, good with money or bad with money. That framing keeps you obedient. It keeps you chasing points like a game. It keeps you ashamed when the number drops and proud when it rises. It makes you easier to control. Think about the language you've heard your whole life. Don't mess up your credit. You're going to ruin your credit. They have great credit. They must be responsible. No one says, they are extremely profitable to lenders, but that's what the system actually means. Look at the rules, and you'll see it clearly. If you pay off a credit card and close it, your score can drop. Why? Because you removed a line of future profit. If you have just one credit card and use it rarely, your score can be too thin. Why? Because the system wants more data, more ways to measure your reliability as a long-term payer of interest. If your card is maxed out, your utilization looks dangerous, so they raise your risk rating and increase your rates. Pay off a loan early? Your score might dip because the system just lost months or years of expected interest. Open several new accounts quickly? Your score dips again. Too active, too unpredictable, too much potential profit changing hands too fast. Once you see it, it's impossible to unsee. The rules are not written to reward financial health. They're written to manage financial flow, to keep you in a band where you need credit just enough to stay hooked. Now let's zoom in on what happens when life hits you. You lose your job, you get sick. A relationship ends. A child suddenly needs expensive care. For a few months, you fall behind. A credit card payment is late. A medical bill goes to collections. Maybe you miss 2 payments on a car loan while you try to figure out what to do. Your credit score doesn't see context. It doesn't see the hospital visits, or the divorce papers, or the nights you sat awake at 3 a.m. trying to choose between rent and food. It sees one thing: deviation from expected behavior. And it hits you hard. Your score drops 80 points. Later, when you finally get back on your feet and apply for a car loan, the interest rate is 6% higher than it would have been. Over the life of the loan, that difference can add up to thousands of dollars. That's thousands you won't be able to save, invest, or use for emergencies. The system punishes you hardest when you are least able to absorb it. And then the consequences stack. With a lower score, your insurance premiums go up. Your rental options shrink. Employers in some industries run credit checks and quietly pass on your application. You pay more for the same things as someone with a higher score. More for the same car. More for the same apartment. More for the same credit card limit. 2 families with the same income can live in completely different financial realities because one of them has been tagged as higher risk. Credit scores don't just measure inequality, they amplify it. There's another layer most people never see. Where you live can quietly poison your score. If you grew up in a neighborhood with fewer banks and more payday lenders, you are more likely to use low-quality credit products. If your family couldn't co-sign or give you a starter card as a teenager, you began your adult life invisible to the system. If you've ever had to choose high-interest financing because it was your only option, that choice follows you for years. The system then punishes you for using the only tools it gave you. And still, whenever you try to talk about it, someone says, well, just be responsible, just pay on time, just keep your utilization low. As if everyone has equal access to calm, predictable lives. But that's one of the darkest truths about the credit score lie. It pretends everyone is playing the same game, when in reality the rules are different depending on where you started. Now let's look at the psychological side. Notice how many apps and websites let you check your score for free. Notice how often they nudge you. Your score updated. Your score went up 7 points. Your score dropped 13 points. It's gamified. It hits the same part of your brain that responds to likes on social media, streaks in apps, levels in games. Every time you open that screen and see a change, you feel something: relief, panic, pride, shame. And right next to that feeling, you see offers. Raise your score fast with this credit builder loan. Improve your credit with this card. Consolidate your debt here. Repair your credit with this paid service. Your anxiety is a sales funnel. The more emotionally attached you are to your number, the easier it is to sell you things. The more shame you feel about a low score, the less likely you are to challenge the system or ask whether the rules make sense. You'll blame yourself instead. You'll think, "I'm bad with money," instead of, "This system profits when I struggle." Credit scores don't just manage your finances, they manipulate your emotions. Let's meet another person, Carla. She's 32, a nurse who worked through the pandemic. For years, she paid her bills on time. Then her mom got sick. Carla took time off work, flew back and forth to help, and fell behind on a couple of cards. Late fees piled up. Her phone buzzed with collection calls. Her score dropped from 740 to 630. When she tried to refinance her car loan to lower the payment, the bank said her new rate would actually be higher. Why? Your credit score took a hit. You're now in a different tier. Carla stared at the numbers. The system was charging her more because she had taken care of her mother. It didn't matter that she was back at work now. It didn't matter that she had never defaulted. The algorithm only saw late payments and reclassified her. This is where the anger comes from. The deep, quiet rage people carry. Because they're not imagining it. The game really is stacked. So what do? If the system is rigged, is there any point to playing? Here's where the story turns. You don't win by worshiping the score. You win by understanding the minimum you need from it, and then building your life around something different: margin, stability, and ownership. The score is a gatekeeper. It decides whether doors open easily or with a fight. You don't have to love it. You just have to learn how to make it boring. That starts with clarity. First, know what actually matters. Under all the mystery, most scoring models are heavily influenced by a few things: payment history, how much of your available credit you're using, how long you've had your accounts, and how often you apply for new credit. That's it. Not your income, not your savings, not your side hustles. Nothing about your actual day-to-day life. If you focus on those levers, paying on time when you can, keeping balances as low as realistically possible, not closing your oldest accounts, not applying for a new card every month, you've handled the bulk of what the algorithm cares about. Is that fair? No. But understanding it takes power away from the mystery. Second, stop obsessing over small changes. Scores naturally move up and down as balances fluctuate. If you check every week, you'll drive yourself insane. Check less often. Use it like a smoke alarm, not a heart monitor. If it drops 80 points, something big happened and you should investigate. If it moves 5 or 10 points, that's just noise. Third, pull your full credit reports from the major bureaus, not just the score from an app. The report is where the real story lives. Look for accounts that aren't yours, late payments listed incorrectly, debts that should have aged off. Errors are common. Disputing them takes time and energy, but every corrected mistake is money you won't pay in higher rates later. Fourth, if you're rebuilding after a crisis, don't fall for predatory credit repair promises. Many companies charge high fees to do things you can do yourself: disputes, goodwill letters, payment arrangements. Credit scoring systems are slow to forgive, but they do move over time. A year of consistent on-time payments and lower balances often does more than any quick fix. And fifth, build something the score can't measure: cash buffer. Even $50 a month into savings is a quiet rebellion. It's money that doesn't belong to a lender. Money that can prevent the next emergency from turning into another late payment. Money that weakens the system's grip. You're not going to break the credit score machine by yourself, but you can refuse to be emotionally owned by it. And here's the most important mindset shift. Your credit score is not your identity. It is not a morality test. It is not a reflection of your intelligence. It is not a permanent label. It is a constantly shifting guess made by companies that don't know you, designed to predict how profitable you'll be. You are allowed to be angry about that. You are allowed to question the rules. You are allowed to refuse the shame. So the next time you see that number on your screen, don't ask, "Am I a good person?" Ask, "How much leverage does this system really have over me, and how can I quietly reduce it?" You might still need a certain score to rent an apartment, buy a car, or qualify for a mortgage. That's the reality we live in. But you can chase those doors from a place of strategy, not self-loathing. You can treat the score like what it is, a tool you learn to handle, not a verdict you live under. Because here's the lie you were sold: that the game is fair, that anyone who plays by the rules wins, and that your number tells the world whether you deserve a break. The truth is simpler and harsher. The game was designed to keep you paying for as long as possible, and the number tells lenders how well that design is working. Once you understand that, something heavy lifts off your shoulders. Not because the system stops being unfair, but because you stop carrying the blame for a system you didn't build. So here's the question I want you to answer in the comments, honestly, even if it stings. Do you feel like your credit score reflects who you are or what you've been through? Because someone else watching this right now feels alone. They think they're the only one stuck in a bad number, the only one turned down for apartments, the only one paying more for the same car. Your story might be the moment they realize the problem was never their worth. It was the way the game was designed. If this opened your eyes, even a little, hit subscribe. Because in the next video, we're going even deeper into how lenders study your behavior, down to the day of the week you pay your bills, to squeeze more out of you without ever raising your official interest rate. The credit score lie has been running your financial life from the shadows for years. But the moment you see it, the spell cracks. And that's when you finally start to do the one thing this system doesn't expect you to do: stop believing it defines you.